Okay, so this is my story. Um, I had sent you a Facebook message last August. It probably didn't make much sense since then. I'm just going to try to stick to what's happened since then. On August 31st, my husband died. He just dropped dead, endocarditis. 3 hours later, I was ripped from my home barefoot, thrown in a psych ward. My mother accused him of overdosing, therefore thought I was going to overdose. My in-laws accused me of poisoning him with arsenic. I was in a psych ward for a week. When I came out, my mother had already taken my child back and told me that unless I went to treatment, I wasn't going to get her back. At that point, I didn't have my husband. I didn't want to fight it. I said, okay, fine, I'll go to treatment. Figured I'd be there 21 days and then she would just drop it, right? I was there for 107 days in Palmetto Treatment Facility, okay? When I showed up there, I did not have any drugs in my system. I did not find out that I was being accused of poisoning my husband with arsenic until mid-January, when I finally had the courage to open the autopsy report, which did state no arsenic, no illicit drugs in his system either at the time of his death. However, while I was gone, my in-laws wrongfully evicted me from a home that I own with my husband, but it is on their land that is going to belong to my daughter. 25% of my husband's company belongs to my daughter. But they know all this. I've been in touch with someone that worked out there with my husband that still kind of works out there trying to sell some of the stuff that's already made. And they know all of this. And I don't want to get into theories. I just want to get into facts. But anyways, so I was told, go to treatment, get your kid back, okay? Went to treatment 107 days. Then I didn't have a home. Go to treatment, get a residence, get your kid back. So I got this residence that you see right here. This is not my home. It is $1,500 a month. All of my assets are frozen. I cannot afford it. I only got it because I thought I'd get my kid back. It is now, that was beginning of January. It is now, late May. Not only do I not have my child, I have not seen her in 6 weeks. I'm not allowed to see her for I don't know how long because he didn't put anything on the docket. So we went to our first trial. This is Cody Martin in Ascension Parish. My attorney is Vincent Sotil, and my mother's attorney is John Brumfield. And we went to our first court date on February 7th. That's when I was told, yeah, you're good. You're going to get your kid back. My counselor from Palmetto did a Zoom conference, and my counselor from the Elevate Addiction Treatment Facility here in Baton Rouge, where I didn't even have to go, but I went because my mom wanted me to, did a Zoom conference with the judge. The judge asked both of them, is there any reason why Lindsay shouldn't have her child back? Both of them said, Greg from Palmetto said, I used to work in Brookstown with mothers who would do unspeakable things to their children. They would go away for 21 days and they would get their kid back. I think it's absolutely absurd. I've never heard of anything like this. I don't know why she doesn't already have her kid back. So to answer your question, no, there's no reason Lindsay shouldn't have her child back. He did the same thing to Jennifer Rush from Elevate Treatment Facility. She said the same thing. She said, well, I'm the head counselor here. I'm the director of the place, and I deal with all the legal things. And she said, I've never heard of this either. This is something that's just mind-blowing to me. And so, no, there's no reason Lindsay shouldn't have her kid back. She's drug tested 3 times a week, and she's clean, she's sober. So, no, not at all. I got on the stand. My mom got on the stand. Judge Cody Martin said he was going to take a recess and get back with us. As he took 2 steps, and then he said, you know what, I'm going to go back to my office and then get back with you. 5 weeks later, over 1 month later, now this entire time I'm not allowed to see my child. Over 1 month later, we get back his orders, okay? His orders are, no, that's not it. They're somewhere right here. His orders were basically that I get to see my child on Saturdays from 9 to 6 and on Sundays from 9 to 6. my mother and her attorney get to ask for 2 random drug screens. The first one to be done at Gulf Coast within 24 hours. The second one to be done at EF Research within 48 hours. And also ordered us to go to counseling with an LCSW named Marcia Cross. Well, did all the orders, you know, and my mother has also been encouraged reunification since January. She knows she's allowed overnight visits, hasn't allowed one. I asked her when we got the orders, I said, okay, that seems like a little much for her. She goes to school 5 days a week. She only has 2 days off. She loves coming here, but when she has to leave, it's very emotional. I was willing to give up a day, then put her through that for 2 days. She said, well, a trip to EF Research would maybe make that possible. So I told my attorney. He said, no, you can't go to EF Research. You have to go to Gulf Coast for the first one. So I did. It was negative, of course. Then we get a message from her attorney saying it was supposed to be at EF Research. He knows it wasn't, blah, blah, blah. Do you want her to go to EF Research? I'll have her there in 48 hours. I did. It's negative, okay? By the way, EF Research does not have an MRO, and if you don't have an MRO, drug screens aren't admissible in court. So why I'm always ordered to go there is beyond me. And I also have a affidavit from my attorney who filed a counter action to a civil warrant, which are all these. This is all the times my mother's had my child put in the back of cop cars, even when she has agreed to let me keep her. This is before, where he stated that my client has not failed a drug test since May 22nd of 2022. Anything that ever comes back positive only comes back from EF Research, which is true because he's paid by my parents, right? By my mother and opposing counsel. So then we go see Marcia Cox. Well, she sneaks and makes an appointment because then she can go and say she followed orders. I didn't. I found that out. I went before her. So we both saw her before then. Then in the meantime, while we're waiting for his 5-week order to come back, we go and see her together. This is my mom is a narcissist. Everyone believes that she's the sweetest lady on the planet. She is not. This is the first woman that saw straight through my mother and basically told my mother, we're wasting time. All you want to do is discuss these drug tests at EF Research. We need to discuss what's best for Lee. And since she just lost her father and hasn't seen her mother in 200 and something days, my suggestion would be that she's returned to the mother immediately. And then she also wrote a letter to the judge stating that this is all the stuff just since I've been back. This is all the stuff that, you know, we presented to the court, that I'm clean, that I'm sober, the random drug test, the letter from Marcia Cox, everything, okay? My certificate from graduating and pay, you know, whatever. All my drug screens, Palmetto. So anyways, the other day, immediately upon leaving that was on a Thursday, returned to her immediately. Friday at 4:20, knowing that court closes at 4:30, my mother's attorney filed a emergency ex parte to suspend visitation. They signed it. Okay? That means I didn't get to see my child for Mother's Day, my first Mother's Day as a widow. Yeah, didn't see her for 6 weeks. We reconvened on March 22nd. On March 22nd, we're not even on the docket, okay? And I could go into the past about how we've never had a hearing, and this ex parte that's supposed to only go past 45 days max has gone on for almost 2 years, but trying to stick to right now. Instead, I'm ordered immediately to go to EF Research and do a hair follicle. I've started videoing when I go in EF Research because it's obviously that the man is not on my side. He is refusing to take my hair sample. He is saying that I'm wearing a wig, okay? In the video, which I didn't even know that I was in because I had it laying on the chair, he's also heard saying, I don't give a shit about that, judge. I want to speak to the attorneys. I am begging him to take my hair sample, telling him that it has to, that it's a court order. He said, that he's not. He wants to speak with the attorneys. Also in the video, I'm doing this to my hair. I'm pulling it so hard. He said, run your fingers through it. I did like that. I ran my fingers through it. No wig, okay? Somehow he gets two people that work there to sign affidavits stating that I was wearing a wig, okay? No. In the video, it's very clear that I wasn't wearing a wig. I called my attorney. I asked him what to do. He says, go to Gulf Coast immediately and get a hair follicle. So I went to Gulf Coast and I got a hair follicle. Negative, okay? Even though I had drug screens, like I said, from my treatment center from December 27th till April 20th, which is well over, 90 days, that were all negative 3 days a week. And so, then we go on March 22nd for the hearing for the suspension of visitation. Haven't seen my child in probably at this point, I guess, golly, April 24th, about 6 weeks. And I don't even make it into the courtroom. I am met outside by my attorney with another stipulation saying you need to leave now and go to EF Research, do a hair, a urine, an oral, and a fingernail. Okay? My attorney had already told me that Friday that I'm going to slap the evidence down in front of him, and if he doesn't want to look at it, I'm going to tell him no more stipulations, make a ruling. So we're not agreeing to any more stipulations. So that's what I did. I said, no, sir. Will you please make a ruling? He said that because I refused, it's going to go down as a failed drug test. But then he finally ruled on the ex parte. Then I thought he said something like 45 days. Then I started Googling. I found all these cases, where everything he's done about that's illegal, case files that I can reference where we can file motions to amend and all this stuff, because I research. And anyways, and also that when she originally signed the ex parte, she had already called DCFS, who was investigating it, and the case was invalid. It was invalid. So her original ex parte is riddled with perjury, number one. No one ever addressed that. Then a private investigator reached out to me through a friend, and he offered to look into my case. He went and pulled my case. He said it's about 2 feet tall. He's never seen anyone file as many motions as my mother, and that none of my stuff is in the record. None of it. I said, well, what about the fact that I went to treatment? The fact, all these drug screens. But he said, no, Lindsay, none of your stuff is on the record. Literally, none of it. Okay? Why? Why? So anyways, I can't see my child. It's her first Father's Day coming up after losing her father. I'm probably going to get evicted from this place because I have no money. I can't start the succession until I have my child back. I'm just hoping to make this... I'm hoping to get help from a very well-known attorney in Baton Rouge that's very expensive, and I'm hoping that she will just help me because of the fact that my child was not supposed to be out of the house for more than 45 days, and it's been almost 2 years. And since then, her father has died, basically working himself to death, spending all of our money, and she's deteriorating. And mentally, emotionally neglected. My mother is in her 70s. My father's in a wheelchair. They can't care for her. Why this judge doesn't ever listen, hear, or make a decision. There was a time when my mom withheld visitation. I actually found something called the Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction Enforcement Act. Do you know that there's not one officer in this state, police or sheriff or otherwise, that knows that if excessive visitation is denied, that they can step into a civil matter and get the child? They don't know it, so nobody ever did anything. Anyways, I don't even know if this is going to upload to your Facebook. I don't know. But yeah, I know the last message I sent you didn't really make much sense. I don't really do well messaging. And I just maybe hope you can get back with me, and then I can go into further detail of the absolute insanity of how much of my child has been kept away from me. And I've had negative drug tests for over a year. There's no legal precedent at all for it. And I just lost my husband, and she just lost her father, and we need to be together. So anyways, I hope you get this, and thank you.